identify some diseases. You will be able to classify diseases into two categories. And a disease is the disorder of a structure. Why are you that far back? There's only a seat number there and there. It shouldn't be. A disease is a disorder of a structure or a function in an organism. Structures would be things like heart, lungs, arms, legs, eyes, ears, throat, stomach, bladder, or the function of that structure, like walking, urinating, digesting, things of that nature. Again, it's disorder of a structure or function in an organism. And what that means is it disrupts normal body functions. Got it? Any questions? Okay. So for example, let's take a look at some information from 2008 about a individual from Indonesia. He was named the Tree Man because he had some massive bark-like warts on his extremities, and the doctor sent him home after removing about 6 kilograms of the growth. His name is Dede, and he was 37 back in 2008. And after 9 months of operation and removing these woody-like growths, the doctor had this to say. His massive warts, which began growing out of control when he was still a teenager, were diagnosed last year, which would be 2007, by the U.S. dermatologist. What's a dermatologist? A skin doctor, good. As a result of a combination of the human papillomavirus and a genetic disorder. So that's a virus that spread plus something within his body that was a disorder, and that disorder stopped his immune system from fighting off this human papillomavirus, which had him looking like this. Those are his arms. That's why they called him Tree Man. No. All right. So this portion, these are his arms, and this would be his hands. So this would be a disease. Why? Normal. First of all, let me make sure you understand. Normal is relevant. Is irrelevant. Actually, normal is basically based on what you say is normal. For example, if I was born with a limp, is that normal to me? Yes, because I don't know anything different. That's how I was born. I didn't start walking without a limp and then started limping. A limp was what I was born with. So that's normal. You can't say because it's not normal. Based on your definition of a disease, is this a disease? Yes. Why? Because it disrupts a normal body function. So he can't use his hands, he can't do those types of things. All right. All right, moving on. Alex, you're going to see a lot of disgusting things in here, so you need to prepare yourself. 2 types of disease. One type is a non-infectious disease. The other type would be an infectious disease. Now that we listed the 2 types, we're going to break them both down. On your notes, it says a blank disease that is not contagious and can be caused by blah, blah, blah. What type of disease was this? Non-infectious disease. It's not contagious. Contagious means what? Catch it, or spreadable. So it means it's non-spreadable. You cannot give these diseases to anyone, neither can you catch them from anyone else. They're caused by several different factors. In your first blank, you would write genetic or hereditary, which means that it is something that runs in the family. Another cause would be congenial, which would be you're born with it because of outside influences. So something happened on the outside which caused you to be born this way. Yes. Another one would be environmental, meaning the area that you live in, like malnutrition, that's a disease. And it may be because it's in an area that is impoverished, meaning it's not a lot of food or nutrients. Another cause would be chemicals. I didn't study any further, I'm not sure. Question.
So for like examples, like if you're in the office with somebody like your mom.
Or a fetal alcohol syndrome, like your mom was an alcoholic, things of that nature. Yes, definitely, those types of things. All right, we're going to look at some examples of non-infectious diseases. You have 4 boxes there. We're going to look at a couple of examples. I'm going to talk in specific about 3. You're going to come up with the 4th one on your own, but first we're going to watch a short video which will give us some information about diseases. So that was one particular type of non-infectious disease. You cannot catch it. The other 3 that we're going to talk about in specific is hemophilia. You have a box there with the line, you want to write it down. Underneath, in that box underneath, the empty space, pay attention. This is where you're going to jot down some information. You are not going to write my words word for word. You're going to jot down some observations that you see. Right now I'm showing you a picture. And some facts, but not word for word. Now, hemophilia is a disease that that the person is missing a certain type of protein that helps them to form blood clots. Now, when you bleed, your blood clots on the outside, forming a what? Scab. That scab's job is there. It forms a scab. Why? To protect infections or germs from getting in, and also stopping the blood from getting out. What system do you think is responsible for creating that protein and making that scab? But what system? Is it the digestive system? Is it the circulatory system? Is it the immune system? The immune system, because it works with the circulatory system to help protect you from infection. So what happens is you cut yourself, your immune system is going to work with your circulatory system and say, hey, our body's losing blood. Think about Osmosis Jones, like, oh no, we don't want those out of here. So therefore it works together. It says, protein soldiers, mount up. Run into the scab and say, form a protective, and then they start forming a scab so that the blood doesn't get out and they stop anything from coming in. Hemophiliacs cannot do that. They're missing the protein to help the blood to clot. Why is this dangerous? They can get infections and they can get infection that causes diseases, but what else? They can lose an excessive amount of blood. Now think about what you do on a daily basis, where you may prick yourself or cut yourself. Even if you stick yourself with a safety pin, you don't really bleed necessarily, but this could be deadly to hemophiliac. Why? Because you may prick yourself and there may be a little blood that doesn't even affect you, but to them, it's not going to stop. It will keep bleeding. Think about how many times you walk and you bump into something and maybe bruise yourself. Sports players, athletes, walking against one of these desks, and you looking like, oh shoot, I got a little bruise on my leg or on my arm. Where'd I get that from? You may not notice it, but a person that's a hemophiliac, they would notice it, because what a bruise is, it is blood underneath that has come to the surface but you have not broken skin so that it can bleed out and form a scab. Underneath, what's happening is your underneath layers of your skin forms a scab underneath to stop that blood from continuing to circulate throughout the body. So that's why it stops in one spot and causes a bruise. Hemophiliacs, they don't have that protein to form a scab, so that bruise is not going to be a bruise, it's going to be a pool of blood. Yeah, yes, it does. It does break open blood, but then that bruise is the healing of the blood. They won't have that. Think about when you're at home and you're helping your parents peel potatoes or chop up some vegetables. That may be a simple task to you. That can be a deadly task to someone that's a hemophiliac. They have to be extra careful. So cuts can be life-threatening. They don't want to get a hickey, and you shouldn't want to get one either. Because you're pulling the blood to the surface. He said, what about a hickey? That was Vernon that said that. You're on tape. So you know. All right. Any questions about this? Again, you're not writing this word for word, so I'm moving because you should have been jotting down some things as I was going. This is genetic, so it's not contagious. It is a non-infectious disease. It runs in the family of individuals because it is a disorder where you're not making that protein that helps the blood to clot. Anemia. If you're anemic, that means you have a low iron. The pictures here are showing the discoloration of hands. If you have low iron, that means that you're going to be cold because that means that your hemoglobin is not pushing oxygen throughout your body the way that it should to help your body stay warm. So when you get cold, you saw cartoons if something freezes, they turn blue or white and they freeze. Just like on Osmosis Jones when he froze up that germ. So this is discoloration. It also could cause sickness or tiredness or loss of breath. Why would it cause loss of breath based on what I just said? Oxygen's not flowing through the body. So it is environmental or hereditary. Environmental would mean you're not eating the foods that contain iron. How many of you do not eat your green vegetables? Shemika, raise your hand. Lack of green vegetables or anything that is high in iron would be giving yourself some issues. Greens, kale, spinach, peas, green beans, those are all high in iron. There is another way, but that's one of the most efficient ways. Eating Wheaties. Wheaties has iron, but I know. Wheaties. You thought I said Wheaties. All right. So a lack of iron causes the reduction of red blood cells. Red blood cells contain hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is responsible for moving blood through oxygen throughout the blood. Again, there you have the tiredness, shortness of breath, even heart failure because that oxygen is not getting to the blood. I'm moving in 10, 9, 8, 7. All right. Next disease could be cancer. Cancer is a non-infectious disease. You can't catch it from anyone, and neither can anyone catch it from you. It is environmental, meaning that it's caused by the things in the environment. Some people may say that it's hereditary. The reason why they say that it's hereditary is because if it's caused by the things in the environment, if a parent has cancer because of environmental factors, the children that they have lived in the same environment. So if they get it, it's from the same environmental factors. Cancer is caused by a carcinogen. You do need to know what a carcinogen is. Carcinogens are cancer-causing agents. So these would be things like cigarettes. Cigarettes is a carcinogen because they have been known to cause cancer. Bleach is a carcinogen. Tar, carcinogen. Other drugs. It is a carcinogen. Cancer is an overgrowth of cells. So bleach, that specific chemical could cause that. So again, like I said, it's abnormal cell growth, and it affects the body in many different ways. One second. The reason why I don't list all of the ways is because there's several different cancers. There's lung cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, skin cancer, mouth cancer. There's a bunch of different types of cancers that we're not going to go through right now. Asia. Inhaling it, when you use it, because it does seep through your pores, but it's prolonged use. So you use it today, but never use it tomorrow, chances are you're probably not going to get cancer. But if you use it too much, then you could increase your chances. Not saying that you would necessarily get it. It's up to you to make that decision. My job is to give you the knowledge. Just like when you think asbestos causes cancer, just like when you think about the people who work on the streets, making the street, putting the tar on the streets, or construction workers, you see a lot of the commercials that if you have been working in this and you have developed cancer or mesothelioma, then you want to see this attorney because these businesses may know that these cause cancer. Those types of things, after using it for a long time, cancer is it's not a new disease, but they're still studying it because they don't know everything that causes it, and it's a prolonged thing. It's not like chickenpox, where this week somebody in school has chickenpox, next week you pop up with it. So it's not like the environmental issues cause cancer, next week you got cancer. Somebody that has cancer, it's from a prolonged exposure to several different things in the environment.
Kind of like radiation, like cause.
Yes. All right. So the fourth box. What is another disease that you could put there? We talked about 4 of them. One of them you need to cut. HIV is not a non-infectious disease. Diabetes. Good. If that's the one you want to use, put that down. Diabetes is a non-infectious disease. People have it or can get it, but they can't pass it on to other people or get it from anyone else. What else? Stop talking. Give me some more diseases that people have that maybe they're old or relatives, but sickle cell, yes. Sickle cell is a hereditary disease, and that is something that cannot be passed on. Parkinson's, you need to write it down if you didn't already. Parkinson's, good. Down syndrome. Bronchitis, no, you can catch that from other people. Huh? You catch that from other people. Glaucoma is a non-infectious disease. You should be writing something in a box. One of them. Gingivitis, good. Yes, good. Arthritis, excellent. Cataracts, good. All right. So, moving on. Infectious disease is your next star. This is a disease that is contagious, meaning you can give it to someone else or you can catch it. You have a star that says and blank disease is contagious and caused. It's caused by what? Pathogens. What's a pathogen? It's a germ. So pathogens are microorganisms which cause disease. Next to it, you do want to put a germ because that is what it is. Good. So ways, let me make sure you understand this. Microorganisms are not all contagious or all harmful. Remember, we learned about good bacteria and bad bacteria. Good bacteria is in yogurt. These are not pathogens, these are microorganisms. Microorganisms mean small living things that are good for you. Pathogens are small living things that are bad for you. You don't need to write that. But the ways that pathogens are transmitted, meaning spread, these are your germs. They're spread through the air. Someone sneezes, and then you've inhaled it. Just like when osmosis saw that little germ get in there, it's like, oh no. Food and water, that's how thrax got in osmosis from the egg. Contaminated objects, like door handles in the bathroom after people don't wash their hands and they touch the handle, and then you go to the bathroom and then you touch the handle even after you wash your hands. What's the best thing that you should do? Use a paper towel, use your elbow. And then they might be your food preparer and they prepare your food and then you still get it through food and water. Yeah, right. All right, flip your paper over to the back because there's two other ways. Person to person is another way. This would be kissing, sex, hugging, holding hands. And when I say holding hands, if they have chickenpox and you're holding their hand, then you could get it. If they have some other type of contagious disease and they didn't wash their hands and you hold their hand and then you go eat your food, guess what? Person to person could relate to food and water, like when you guys are drinking after each other, even when you do the waterfalls. Underneath person to person, give you information about this. A person can be a carrier. A carrier would be someone that carries the disease, but they don't necessarily display any symptoms as of yet. This is a big example with chickenpox. Children can have, or people can have the chickenpox virus within them, but not be sick yet. The blisters don't come out yet to show that they're sick, but they are sick. Carrying the germ or display no symptoms. This also is big with HIV. Someone could be deadly sick and not show it yet. This is also there's a disease called Fitz disease. It's really a virus, and it's basically a virus. It's like a cold, but you're not sick. You don't feel sick, but that's when it's the most contagious. And then your body breaks out in these red blotches. But at that time, you're not contagious. But of course, they don't want you around. Like, for instance, my son had Fitz disease. At the time he was at school, looking and feeling healthy, he was actually sick. But his body didn't display it. Then, all of a sudden, he breaks out with these red blotches all over his body. I'm like, what the heck happened? I take him to the doctor. He says, oh, he just had Fitz disease. Well, you wouldn't know because until that's the way that the body is putting it out. But of course, he can't go to school yet because what teacher wants you in school with all these red blotches around? You're like, ooh, something's wrong with you. No, this was when he was like 5. All right. An animal or an insect, you can get it from animals and insects. Animal bites, insect stings. Animals would be considered vectors. They transmit the pathogen from a host to a new organism. So, for instance, malaria, which we'll look at in a moment, somebody that has malaria, an insect can sting that person, or a mosquito can suck the blood from that person and then possibly go sting another person, and now they've passed it. Even though it doesn't affect the mosquito won't be sick. But now it's passed the plasmodium to another person. Now that person has malaria. No. All right. Now we're going to look at examples of infectious diseases. One of the most known infectious diseases is the chickenpox. In your box, you're doing the same thing. I'm going to talk about 3. I'm going to talk about 3, and then you're going to come up with one yourself. Again, you're not writing all of these down. You already know what chickenpox are. The blisters contain fluid. They're really, really itchy. Story about my chickenpox story I'll share with you. When I was in the 6th grade, and I actually still have the little scar on the back of my neck, I had this little blister back there, but it wasn't like Like it wasn't like if I scratched it was gonna burst open, but it was like a little bubble, and so it's itching. And I was an honor roll student, good kid. I never was in trouble. So if I asked to go to the nurse or something, his daughter was like, yeah, she not tricking us. If I need to go to the bathroom, she not tricking us. So we were in an assembly at an auditorium when I was in 6th grade, and I wasn't feeling well. We had a substitute that day, so I wasn't feeling well. I was feeling really, really hot, and my neck kept itching. So I was like, oh my God. And I'm thinking, I'll be fine. So then I was like, I can't take it. I'm like burning up. So I went to the teacher and I said, can I go to the nurse? And she's thinking that I just want to get out of this assembly. So she's like, no, go sit down. You're fine. I was like, okay. So I go sit back down, and my friends, they all big and bad. They like, girl, go to the nurse. Forget her. Who she thinks she is? Go to the nurse. You sit. So we're leaving the assembly. They're like, you better go to the trouble. They're like, go to the nurse. Let me walk you. So I go to the nurse, and the nurse took my temperature, and I had 108 fever. So she said, you got to go home. So I go back to the classroom to get my things, and she's like, who told you to go to the nurse? I gave her a nurse. She's like, oh, I hope you feel better. So, of course, I go home, go to the doctors, and I had the chicken pox, and they start popping up all over the place. So that's my chicken pox story. So I was contagious, and my friends had said, girl, go to the nurse. They probably got the chicken pox too. All right, cholera is another disease. It's a disease that infects your intestinal, meaning your stomach area, which is going to cause severe diarrhea, and that diarrhea is going to cause severe dehydration because diarrhea is liquid poop, and so you're losing a lot of fluids that way, and not just like, oh, I'm a little sick, I gotta go back. It's like constantly, and it's transmitted through contaminated water or food containing fecal matter. This is why in the bathrooms you see all workers must wash their hands.
They don't be doing that. I don't think so.
Hey, I don't know, but I'm just saying. All workers, this is why they tell you this, because they want to prevent cholera. Fecal matter is poop. Now, although people, if they don't wash hands, even though they don't see, like I wipe myself, I don't see nothing on my hands, it still could be something on there. Or this disease is very prevalent in third world countries like Africa, where they don't have clean water supply. That water that's going through comes from the sewers as well, and if they don't have good water sewage treatment plants that clean the water, then that could be contaminated water. Now the water could look clear, but still have small microorganisms for fecal matter there, which is going to cause this disease. And we're going to take a look at a third type of disease from a short video here, which is a very well-known disease as well. All right, so with the third disease being AIDS, you should have written that down. Give me a disease that is infectious that we did not talk about. Strep throat. No, that is a good one. Strep throat can be passed to other people.
Poison ivy?
Poison ivy, I can't pass it. If I got poison ivy, I can't give it to you because poison ivy is an allergic reaction to the ivy. To the oak. Measles, yes. Gonorrhea, yes. Any sexually transmitted disease. Anything else? Huh? Yes. Whooping cough, yes. Mono, yes. Rabies, yes. Yes, that is a very bad sexually transmitted disease. That is real. All right, up. We're going to move on. No, we're moving on. Doesn't matter. All right. Types of infectious diseases. We're going to stop here and we're going to pick this part up on tomorrow.